reading. Okay, it's gonna have to stay. I'm not gonna redo it. I'm not redoing it. Well, good morning, everybody. Sorry, I'm late again. I'm still unwell. Okay. I'm still slightly, trying to catch my breath. Alright. So I'm trying to, just trying to catch my breath when I'm doing stuff. I didn't know. I went live with you when I did. So when I went live with you, when I did not realize I was live. So let's do, what is it? The prayers at the beginning, like we usually do. Our Father in heaven, may your name be kept holy. May your kingdom come soon. Wait. Hello, everybody. Let's start over. Whew. May your... No. Start again. Our Father in heaven, may your name be kept holy. May your kingdom come soon. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today the food we need. Give us today, no, we already did that, and forgive us our sins, and as we have forgiven those who sin against us. And don't let us yield to temptation, but rescue us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom, the power. For thine is the kingdom, the power, the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Jehovah, please give me strength to get my strength back. Please, I need my strength back. Can you give physical, mental strength to the following people that need it? To take Tate, Cindy Lee, King Charles, De Coulier, um, uh-huh. Celine Dion, Jess, Kristen, Jenny, and Tiffany, Robin, Miss Hannah Daughters, Arnie, Vicky's family, Vicky, I said that, Vicky's family, Carol and her mom. Please help them and everything that they need. Whatever they ask for, give them. Please help them. In Jesus' name, amen. I'm having a hard time today. Yesterday was better. And the live is horizontal because I wasn't really. I didn't realize to see you a lot. And Carol, Yeah, I'm feeling a little better, but today's not a good day. So, stop. My hand. It's quick, right? It'll double click. It'll unclick everything I did. Uh, so we're gonna listen to Second Chronicles, chapter 6, verses, chapter 2, verses 6 to 10. No, I'm not reading it though. You really want me to read it? Oh, I think it, well, this,
chapter 6. At that time Solomon said, Jehovah said he would reside in the thick gloom. Now I have built a lofty house for you, an established place for you to dwell in forever.
Then the king turned around and began to bless all the congregation of Israel, while all the congregation of Israel stood. He said,
May Jehovah, the God of Israel, be praised, the one who by his own mouth promised my father David, and by his own hands has given fulfillment, saying, From the day I brought my people out of the land of Egypt, I have not chosen a city out of all the tribes of Israel in which to build a house for my name to remain there. And I have not chosen a man to become leader over my people Israel. But I have chosen Jerusalem for my name to remain there. And I have chosen David to be over my people Israel. And it was the heart's desire of my father David to build a house for the name of Jehovah, the God of Israel. But Jehovah said to my father David, It was your heart's desire to build a house for my name, and you did well to desire this in your heart. However, you will not build the house, but your own son who is to be born to you is the one who will build the house for my name. Jehovah has carried out the promise that he made, for I have succeeded my father David, and I sit on the throne of Israel, just as Jehovah promised. I have also built the house for the name of Jehovah, the God of Israel, and there I have placed the ark, containing the covenant that Jehovah made with the people of Israel.
Then he stood before the altar of Jehovah in front of all the congregation of Israel, and he spread out his hands. For Solomon had made a platform of copper and put it in the middle of the court. It was 5 cubits long, 5 cubits wide, and 3 cubits high, and he stood on it. And he knelt down in front of all the congregation of Israel, and spread his hands out to the heavens. And he said,
O Jehovah, the God of Israel, there is no God like you in the heavens or on the earth, keeping the covenant and showing loyal love to your servants who are walking before you with all their heart. You have kept the promise that you made to your servant David, my father. You made the promise with your own mouth, and this day you have fulfilled it with your own hand. And now, O Jehovah, the God of Israel, keep the promise you made to your servant David, my father, when you said, There will never fail to be a man of your line before me to sit on the throne of Israel, if only your sons will pay attention to their way by walking in my law, just as you have walked before me. And now, O Jehovah, the God of Israel, let the promise that you made to your servant David prove trustworthy. But will God really dwell with mankind on the earth? Look, the heavens, yes, the heaven of the heavens cannot contain you. How much less then this house that I have built? Now pay attention to the prayer of your servant, and to his request for favor, O Jehovah my God. And listen to the cry for help, and to the prayer that your servant is praying before you. May your eyes be open toward this house day and night, toward the place where you said that you would put your name, to listen to the prayer that your servant prays toward this place. And listen to your servant's pleas for help, and to the pleas of your people Israel when they pray toward this place. And may you hear from your dwelling place, from the heavens. Yes, may you hear and forgive. If a man sins against his fellow man, and is made to take an oath, and is brought under liability to the oath, and while under the oath he comes before your altar in this house, may you then hear from the heavens and act, and judge your servants by paying back the wicked one, and bringing what he did on his own head, and by pronouncing the righteous one innocent, and rewarding him according to his own righteousness. And if your people Israel are defeated by an enemy because they kept sinning against you, and they return and glorify your name, and pray and beg for favor before you in this house, may you then hear from the heavens and forgive the sin of your people Israel, and bring them back to the land that you gave to them and their forefathers. When the heavens are shut up, and there is no rain because they kept sinning against you, and they pray toward this place and glorify your name and turn back from their sin because you humbled them, may you then hear from the heavens and forgive the sin of your servants, of your people Israel. For you will instruct them about the good way in which they should walk, and bring rain on your land that you gave to your people as an inheritance. If a famine occurs in the land, or a pestilence, a scorching blight, mildew, swarming locusts, or voracious locusts, or if their enemies besiege them in any of the cities of the land, or if any other sort of plague or disease occurs, whatever prayer, whatever request for favor may be made by any man, or by all your people Israel, for each one knows his own plague and his own pain, when they spread out their hands toward this house, then may you hear from the heavens, your dwelling place, and may you forgive and reward each one according to all his ways. For you know his heart. You alone truly know the human heart, so that they may fear you by walking in your ways all the days they live on the land that you gave to our forefathers. Also concerning the foreigner who is not part of your people Israel, and who comes from a distant land because of your great name and your mighty hand and your outstretched arm, and he comes and prays toward this house, may you then listen from the heavens, your dwelling place, and do all that the foreigner asks of you, so that all the peoples of the earth may know your name and fear you, as your people Israel do, and may know that your name has been called on this house that I have built. If your people go to war against their enemies in the way that you send them, and they pray to you in the direction of this city that you have chosen, and toward the house that I have built for your name, then hear from the heavens their prayer and their request for favor, and execute judgment for them. If they sin against you, for there is no man who does not sin, and you are furious with them, and you abandon them to an enemy, and their captors carry them off captive to a land, far or near, and they come to their senses in the land where they were carried off captive, and they return to you, and beg you for favor in the land where they are captives, saying, we have sinned and done wrong. We have acted wickedly. And they return to you with all their heart and all their soul in the land of their captivity where they were carried off captive. And they pray in the direction of their land that you gave to their forefathers, and the city that you have chosen, and the house that I have built for your name. Then hear from the heavens, your dwelling place, their prayer, and their request for favor, and execute judgment for them, and forgive your people who have sinned against you. Now, O my God, please, may your eyes be opened, and your ears attentive to the prayer offered in this place. And now go up, O Jehovah God, to your resting place, you and the ark of your strength. Let your priests, O Jehovah God, be clothed with salvation, and let your loyal ones rejoice in your goodness. O Jehovah God, do not reject your anointed one. May you remember your loyal love to David, your servant.
Chapter 7. Now as soon as Solomon had finished praying, fire came down from the heavens and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and Jehovah's glory filled the house. The priests were unable to enter the house of Jehovah because Jehovah's glory had filled the house of Jehovah. And all the people of Israel were looking on when the fire came down and the glory of Jehovah was upon the house. And they bowed low with their faces to the ground on the pavement and prostrated themselves and thanked Jehovah, for he is good. His loyal love endures forever. Now the king and all the people offered sacrifices before Jehovah. King Solomon offered the sacrifice of 22,000 cattle and 120,000 sheep. Thus the king and all the people inaugurated the house of the true God. The priests were standing at their posts of duty, as were the Levites who had the instruments used to accompany the song to Jehovah. King David had made these instruments for giving thanks to Jehovah, for his loyal love endures forever, when David would offer praise with them. And the priests were loudly sounding the trumpets in front of them, while all the Israelites were standing. Then Solomon sanctified the middle of the courtyard that was before the house of Jehovah, for there he had to offer up the burnt offerings and the fat pieces of the communion sacrifices, because the copper altar that Solomon had made could not contain the burnt sacrifices, the grain offerings, and the fat pieces. At that time Solomon held the festival for 7 days, together with all Israel, a very great congregation from Lebo-Hamath down to the Wadi of Egypt. But on the 8th day they held a solemn assembly, because they had held the inauguration of the altar for 7 days, and the festival for 7 days. Then, on the 23rd day of the 7th month, he sent the people away to their homes, rejoicing and feeling glad of heart over the goodness that Jehovah had shown to David and Solomon and Israel his people. Thus Solomon finished the house of Jehovah and the house of the king, and everything that came into Solomon's heart to do regarding the house of Jehovah and his own house, he accomplished successfully. Jehovah then appeared to Solomon during the night and said to him, I have heard your prayer, and I have chosen this place for myself as a house of sacrifice. When I shut up the heavens and there is no rain, and when I command the grasshoppers to devour the land, and if I send a pestilence among my people, if my people on whom my name has been called humble themselves, and pray and seek my face, and turn away from their evil ways, then I will hear from the heavens and forgive their sin and heal their land. Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to prayer at this place. And now I have chosen and sanctified this house, so that my name may be there permanently, and my eyes and my heart will always be there. And you, if you walk before me as your father David walked, by doing everything I have commanded you, and you obey my regulations and my judgments, then I will establish the throne of your kingship, just as I made a covenant with your father David, saying, there will never fail to be a man of your line ruling over Israel. But if you turn away and forsake my statutes and my commandments that I have put before you, and you go and serve other gods and bow down to them, I will uproot Israel from my land that I have given them. And this house that I have sanctified for my name, I will cast out of my sight. And I will make it an object of scorn and a cause for ridicule among all the peoples. And this house will become heaps of ruins. Everyone passing by it will stare in amazement and will say, why did Jehovah do that to this land and this house? Then they will say, it was because they abandoned Jehovah, the God of their forefathers, who had brought them out of the land of Egypt, and they embraced other gods and bowed down to them and served them. That is why he brought all this calamity on them. Chapter 8. At the end of 20 years, during which Solomon built the house of Jehovah and his own house, Solomon rebuilt the cities that Hiram had given Solomon and settled Israelites there. Furthermore, Solomon went to Hamath Zobah and captured it. Then he built up Tadmor in the wilderness and all the storage cities that he had built in Hamath. He also built up Upper Beth-horon and Lower Beth-horon, fortified cities with walls, gates, and bars, and Baalath, as well as all of Solomon's storage cities, all the chariot cities, the cities for the horsemen, and whatever Solomon desired to build in Jerusalem, in Lebanon, and in all the land of his dominion. As for all the people who were left from the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, who were not part of Israel, their descendants who were left in the land, those whom the Israelites had not exterminated, were conscripted by Solomon for forced labor until this day.
Sorry, guys.
But Solomon did not make any of the Israelites slaves for his work, for they were his warriors, the chiefs of his adjutants, and the chiefs of his charioteers and horsemen. There were 250 chiefs of the deputies of King Solomon, the foremen over the people. Solomon also brought Pharaoh's daughter up from the city of David to the house that he had built for her. For he said,
Although she is my wife, she should not dwell in the house of King David of Israel, for the places to which the ark of Jehovah has come are holy.
Then Solomon offered up burnt sacrifices to Jehovah on the altar of Jehovah that he had built in front of the porch. He followed the daily routine and made offerings according to the commandment of Moses for the Sabbaths, the new moons, and the appointed festivals 3 times in the year, the festival of unleavened bread, the festival of weeks, and the festival of booths. Further, he appointed the divisions of the priests for their services, according to the rule of his father David, and the Levites for their posts of duty, to praise and to minister in the presence of the priests, according to the daily routine, and the gatekeepers in their divisions for the different gates, for such was the commandment of David, the man of the true God. And they did not deviate from the king's commandment to the priests and the Levites concerning any matter, or concerning the storehouses. So Solomon's work was all well organized, from the day the foundation of the house of Jehovah was laid until it was finished. So the house of Jehovah was completed. It was then that Solomon went to Ezion-Geber and to Eloth on the seashore in the land of Edom. Hiram sent him ships and experienced seamen by means of his own servants. They went with Solomon's servants to Ophir and took from there 450 talents of gold and brought it to King Solomon. Chapter 9. Now the queen of Sheba heard the report about Solomon, so she came to Jerusalem to test Solomon with perplexing questions. She was accompanied by a very impressive entourage, with camels carrying balsam oil and great quantities of gold and precious stones. She went into Solomon and spoke to him about everything that was close to her heart. Solomon then answered all her questions. There was nothing too difficult for Solomon to explain to her. When the queen of Sheba had seen Solomon's wisdom, the house that he built, the food of his table, the seating of his servants, the table service of his waiters and their attire, his cupbearers and their attire, and his burnt sacrifices that he regularly offered up at the house of Jehovah, she was left completely breathless. So she said to the king,
The report that I heard in my own land about your achievements and about your wisdom was true. But I did not put faith in the reports until I had come and had seen it with my own eyes. And look, I had not been told the half of your great wisdom. You have far surpassed the report that I heard. Happy are your men, and happy are your servants who stand before you constantly, listening to your wisdom. May Jehovah your God be praised, who has taken pleasure in you by putting you on his throne as king for Jehovah your God. Because your God loves Israel, in order to make it continue forever, he appointed you over it as king, to administer justice and righteousness.
Then she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and a great quantity of balsam oil and precious stones. Never again was such balsam oil brought in as what the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. Moreover, the servants of Hiram and the servants of Solomon, who brought gold from Ophir, also brought algum timbers and precious stones. The king made from the algum timbers stairs for the house of Jehovah and for the king's house, as well as harps and stringed instruments for the singers. Nothing like them had ever been seen before in the land of Judah. King Solomon also gave the Queen of Sheba whatever she desired and asked for, more than what she had brought to the king. Then she left and returned to her own land, together with her servants. And the weight of the gold that came to Solomon in 1 year amounted to 666 talents of gold, besides that brought in by the merchants and the traders, and all the kings of the Arabs and the governors of the land who were bringing gold and silver in to Solomon. King Solomon made 200 large shields of alloyed gold. 600 shekels of alloyed gold went on each shield, and 300 bucklers of alloyed gold. 3 minas of gold went on each buckler. Then the king put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon. The king also made a great ivory throne and overlaid it with pure gold. There were 6 steps to the throne, and there was a gold footstool attached to the throne. And there were armrests on both sides of the seat, and 2 lions were standing beside the armrests. And there were 12 lions standing on the 6 steps, one at each end of the 6 steps. No other kingdom had made anything like it. All the drinking vessels of King Solomon were of gold, and all the utensils of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of pure gold. There was nothing made of silver, for silver was considered as nothing in the days of Solomon. For the king's ships would go to Tarshish with the servants of Hiram. Once every 3 years, the ships of Tarshish would come loaded with gold and silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks. So King Solomon was greater than all the other kings of the earth in riches and wisdom. And the kings of all the earth sought an audience with Solomon to hear his wisdom that the true God had put in his heart. They would each bring a gift, articles of silver, articles of gold, garments, armor, balsam oil, horses, and mules. And this continued year after year. And Solomon had 4,000 stalls for his horses and chariots, and 12,000 horses. And he kept them stationed in the chariot cities and close by the king in Jerusalem. And he ruled over all the kings from the river to the land of the Philistines and to the boundary of Egypt. The king made the silver in Jerusalem as plentiful as the stones, and cedar wood as plentiful as the sycamore trees in the Shephelah. And they would bring horses to Solomon from Egypt and from all the other lands. As for the rest of the history of Solomon, from beginning to end, is it not written among the words of Nathan the prophet, in the prophecy of Ahijah the Shilonite, and in the record of visions of Iddo the visionary concerning Jeroboam the son of Nebat? Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel for 40 years. Then Solomon was laid to rest with his forefathers. So they buried him in the city of David his father, and his son Rehoboam became king in his place. Chapter 10. Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel had come to Shechem to make him king. As soon as Jeroboam the son of Nebat heard of it, he was still in Egypt because he had fled on account of King Solomon, Jeroboam came back from Egypt. Then they sent for him, and Jeroboam and all Israel came to Rehoboam and said, "Your father made our yoke harsh, but if you make the harsh service of your father easier, and you lighten the heavy yoke he put on us, we will serve you." At this he said to them,
"Return to me after 3 days."
So the people went away. King Rehoboam then consulted with the older men who had served his father Solomon while he was alive, saying,
What advice would you give on how to reply to this people?
They answered him,
If you are good to this people and please them and give them a favorable answer, they will always be your servants.
Yes.
However, he rejected the advice that the older men gave him, and he consulted with the young men who had grown up with him and who were now his attendants. He asked them,
What advice do you offer on how we should reply to this people who have said to me, Make the yoke your father put on us lighter?
The young men who had grown up with him said to him,
This is what you should say to the people who have said to you, Your father made our yoke heavy, but you should make it lighter for us. This is what you should tell them. My little finger will be thicker than my father's hips. My father imposed a heavy yoke on you, but I will add to your yoke. My father punished you with whips, but I will do so with scourges.
Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam on the third day, just as the king had said, Return to me on the third day. But the king answered them harshly. Thus King Rehoboam rejected the advice of the older men. He spoke to them according to the advice of the young men, saying,
I will make your yoke heavier, and I will add to it. My father punished you with whips, but I will do so with scourges.
So the king did not listen to the people, for this turn of events was caused by the true God, in order to carry out the word that Jehovah had spoken through Ahijah the Shilonite to Jeroboam the son of Nebat. As for all Israel, because the king refused to listen to them, the people replied to the king,
What share do we have in David? We have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. Each one to your gods, O Israel. Now look after your own house, O David.
With that, all Israel returned to their homes. But Rehoboam continued to reign over the Israelites living in the cities of Judah. Then King Rehoboam sent Hadoram, who was in charge of those conscripted for forced labor, but the Israelites stoned him to death. King Rehoboam managed to mount his chariot to flee to Jerusalem, and the Israelites have been in revolt against the house of David down to this day. Chapter 11. When Rehoboam arrived in Jerusalem, he immediately congregated the house of Judah and Benjamin, 180,000 trained warriors, to fight against Israel in order to restore the kingdom to Rehoboam. Then the word of Jehovah came to Shemaiah, the man of the true God.
No, we're done. We're done. I've most likely slept through part of it, and I'm apologizing for it. I'm taking a deep breath right now. And you know, and out your mouth. Do that with me. Now. Get ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Hold it for 2 seconds and then do it. Go. Try to let it out lightly. Not like what I just did. Let's go again. couple more. One more. I'll get better. I will. Well, let's read Carol's verse of the day. Five through 10. So when he came into the world, he says, sacrifice and offering, and you did not want, but you prepared a body for me. You did not approve anybody. No, I totally messed that up. Let's start again. So when, no, oh boy. You sure, Carol, you want me to read this? Hebrews chapter 10, verses 5 to 10. Mm-hmm. So when he came into the world, he says, sacrifice and offering you did not want. You did not want. But you prepared a body for me. You did not approve for whole burnt offerings, instant offerings. And then I said, look, I have come in the scroll. When in no, it is written about me to do your will, O God. After first saying you did not want, nor did you approve of sacrifices. And offerings and whole burnt offerings and whole burnt offerings and sin offerings, sacrifices that are offered according to the law. Then he says, look, I have come to do your will. He also he does away with what is first. He does away what is first in order to establish what is second. By this will we have been sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ. Once for all times. Oh, you know what? I could have had that written for you. And I will do that. So you can hear it properly.
So when he comes into the world, he says, sacrifice and offering you did not want, but you prepared a body for me. You did not approve of whole burnt offerings and sin offerings. Then I said, look, I have come, in the scroll it is written about me, to do your will, O God. After first saying, you did not want, nor did you approve of sacrifices and offerings and whole burnt offerings and sin offerings, sacrifices that are offered according to the law. Then he says, look, I have come to do your will. He does away with what is first in order to establish what is second. By this will, we have been sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all time. Also, every priest takes his station day after day to offer holy service and to make the same sacrifices often, which can never take.
Okay. Going over 1 to 2 is way better than hearing me say this. Next is Matthew chapter 2. Let me show you. Calm down, okay? Calm down. Nobody here hates you. Chapter 2. Matthew chapter 2. It's ridiculous, Carol. We're gonna have a talk later. 1 through 12.
Chapter 2.
1
After Jesus had been born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, look, astrologers from the east came to Jerusalem, saying,
Where is the one born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when we were in the east, and we have come to do obeisance to him.
At hearing this, King Herod was agitated, and all Jerusalem with him. On gathering together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They said to him,
In Bethlehem of Judea, for this is how it has been written through the prophet. And you, O Bethlehem of the land of Judah, are by no means the most insignificant city among the governors of Judah.
For out of you will come a governing one who will shepherd my people Israel.
Then Herod secretly summoned the astrologers and carefully ascertained from them the time of the star's appearing. When sending them to Bethlehem, he said,
"Go make a careful search for the young child, and when you have found him, report back to me, so that I too may go and do obeisance to him."
After they had heard the king, they went their way. And look, the star they had seen when they were in the east went ahead of them until it came to a stop above where the young child was. On seeing the star, they rejoiced with great joy. And when they went into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and falling down, they did obeisance to him. They also opened their treasures and presented him with gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. However, because they were given...
Okay. So, sorry.
However, because they were given divine warning in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed for their country by another way. After they had departed...
So, that is it. I'm going to have a talk with you, Carol, later. That verse, we've read it so many times. No more. Okay? One verse of the day, that's it. I'm sorry. One verse request of the day. That's it. So I love you. Guys, I'm sorry this is so bad today. Love, don't judge. Peace out.